Hello, this is a video to give you insight on what it means to be an FNP student versus a CRNA student based on my opinion from my experiences so far. I will be talking about FNP student life and what I learned in FNP school. Then I will talk about how I got into CRNA school, my experiences so far as a student CRNA, and after this I will be discussing my personal story of how I chose CRNA over FNP, and then finally a little bit of who I am. The first year of FNP school was dedicated to physiology, patho, and pharm. After this year, and for the remainder of the program, the focus was on writing, research, and public health. There is a lot of writing. For many nights, you will be up late revising and editing papers. What is the FNP student life like? Well, that depends on how much you want to work during the program. It took me 5 years to complete FNP school with a DNP. The first 3.5 years of school were full-time, and the last 1.5 years were part-time. I was working full-time throughout my entire time in school. I thought it was very difficult, as every week I was in school and working. It would typically be around 6 to 7 days a week. As nurses, we tend to work 3 12-hour shifts, and I feel that this is necessary as 4 days a week are needed for studying, preparing papers, and going to clinical. My FNP school emphasized the importance of evidence and epidemiology. I feel much more confident than I did prior to these classes, as now I can sift through academic journals and critically appraise the evidence. Evidence and understanding its hierarchy is of utmost importance in determining what management solution to choose for each individual patient, and in addition, have an appreciation for clinical practice guidelines, policies, and protocols, along with systematic reviews. Try to find an FNP school that finds your clinical sites, is affiliated with a hospital, and has a research facility. To begin, having a student find their own clinical sites must be daunting, time-consuming, and the sites may not be optimal. In addition, some students are delayed because they might not find sites in time and put them back in their curriculum. A school that provides your clinical sites will most likely be able to provide you much more specific or specialty clinical opportunities such as cardiology, wound, or maybe even dentistry. You may be asking yourself, why would I follow a dentist as an FNP? Well, sometimes family nurse practitioners are the first to discover problems with patients' teeth and can refer patients who cannot afford dental work to low-cost dental care. Finding clinical sites is about networking. Why not leave this task for your university, as they are most likely more interconnected with the local nurse practitioners than you are. Also, a school with research facilities will provide opportunities for doctoral research, including enterprise and non-enterprise level research. Going to a school that is affiliated with a hospital and research facility will obviously expand your research options. If CRNA is your end goal, opportunities like these will be included on your resume and will make you stand out as an applicant, especially if you and/or your team are published. Another thing a student learns in FNP school is the management of family practice. Nurse practitioners learn management strategies for simple family medicine using literature and evidence-based solutions, like using programs like UpToDate. I have not yet had the opportunity to practice as a nurse practitioner, but I have heard that your first 2 years or so is spent looking everything up. My opinion in choosing FNP versus CRNA, managing primary care patients, a nurse practitioner must know a little bit about a lot, whereas I am assuming CRNAs must know a lot about a specialty like anesthesia. My opinion on how I think I gained acceptance to CRNA school is first my work experience. I worked first in the ER, then the ICU. I felt very confident and competent as a nurse being first trained in the ER. The ER would have about every other day a code, sometimes multiple codes. This gave me experience in ACLS, so by the time I went to the ICU, I could very efficiently and effectively work well as a team in a code situation. My ER certifications of TNCC and ECRN made me better and more effective at assessing trauma patients, as well as being able to receive and transcribe emergency patient information, as well as prepare the ER for imminent critical patient arrival. Many nurses remain stagnant in their knowledge base, so it'll be important for you to always improve in your level of understanding by constantly reading. Read cardiac surgery nursing books, memorize the ACLS manual, take graduate nursing classes, take physics or biochemistry, do whatever you can to learn more so that you can understand better and assess your patients. As always, shadow CRNAs. You may need this as a requirement for your program, but it is also nice to learn more and see firsthand your future potential job. Please prepare for your interview. There is a science to the question, so tell us about yourself. Your reply must not be too long, too short, etc. There are many videos on YouTube to help prepare you for interviews. Make sure to prepare for your interview. My CRNA school interviews had blocks of areas where certain situations would be asked, both clinical and non-clinical. Be prepared, but always remember the entire process of applying for and interviewing will be a learning opportunity. Please know that I am only finishing up my first semester of CRNA school, so I can let you know my experience thus far and provide insight on what I anticipate. So far, CRNA school is everything I hoped it would be. Science, science, and more science. Our school has a gross anatomy class and lab. This class has closed many gaps of knowledge I had in regards to physiology and anatomy. To be able to view a real brachial plexus and conus medullaris is amazing, but also pertinent for my future practice. If you can find a school that has a gross anatomy class and lab, I would highly recommend it. My school does a great job with interprofessionalism. You may already know of interprofessionalism, but in my experience, it seems that both my graduate schools pushed hard for interprofessionalism, as it is a real-life practice in the hospital. Working with patients takes a team, and it's better to get to know your teammates. Interprofessionalism in CRNA school has included working with medical students, physical therapy students, physician's assistant students, and pathological assistant students every day in the anatomy lab. So far, I have not worked at all during CRNA school. I think in order to get good grades and become the best future CRNA, it would take 100% focus on school alone. Our dean is very serious, as he should be, and states that he will help you through to find extra resources if you need them, but if a student is not willing to ask for these resources or to put in 100% of effort into the classes, then he will offer free Kleenex when he's verbally slamming you in his office. I appreciate this very much, as should our future patients. Providing anesthesia is a serious business, and the faculty, along with the students, should be earnest. Everyone's student CRNA story is different. Mine has to do with always being interested, but not knowing how life, such as being married with a child, could impact applying for and attending school. I always wanted to learn more, and I knew that I had a direct shot into FNP school, so I took it. A brief caveat: do not let people, especially nurses, tell you that you cannot begin FNP school without experience. Because by the time clinical starts, you will have already been a nurse for 2.5 years, so it'll be perfect timing. So I continued with FNP because I knew I wanted to learn more and because I would not have to waste any time being out of school. During work in school is when I encountered situations with CRNAs, especially work. I learned that in the hospital, calling anesthesia is like calling 911. These experiences with anesthesia providers, both anesthesiologists and CRNAs, would come in an emergency for intubations and in one instance a cricothyrotomy. This solidified my need to want to apply for CRNA school. In addition, I felt that my privileges and opportunities as a nurse were more exciting to me than being a family nurse practitioner. On top of all this, I needed my wife's approval. Thankfully, she gave it to me. For all the married people out there, I would highly recommend asking your significant other or spouse before applying, as they will be your support system throughout the program. Support systems are so important that every CRNA school interview that I had asked me about my support system. To let you know my certifications and who I am very happy to say that I'm a first-year student CRNA. I am also a certified family nurse practitioner. I have spent approximately 3 years in the ER and 2 years in a medical surgical ICU. While in these settings, I have attained my ECRN, TNCC, and CCRN. All this great time as a nurse allowed me to feel confident enough to go to CRNA school. I hope this video has given you insight into the differences of the two schools, why I chose CRNA over FNP, and given you tips on how to get yourself into CRNA school. This is my first ever video. I may have left out a lot of information to make this video brief, but please, if you have any questions, ask, and thank you very much for watching.